Has anybody noticed that the marketplace in general has become a very human business? And in today's market, I feel that your business should be renamed Human Inc. because we are now in an age where brands and companies are dealing directly with the customer. And before, it was about broadcasting our products and services out to the marketplace in hopes that people would gravitate towards it or engage in it. But now the environment is totally different. And being a human company is a very difficult proposition for most companies because when you're used to being a broadcaster and now you're having to switch to being a communicator, it is a very huge bridge to cross for most brands and for most companies because now it's about communicating on a human level and not on a products and services level. And when I think about a human brand, there's a few things that I think about. Number one is a human brand is all about relationship. It's no different than any relationship that you would have in your life. Your brand is the same way. And your brand is about human discovery. And when I think through this, it's about how you can, take somebody's life and change it for better. You want to also be a brand that knows how to communicate where you can take somebody. Where do people want to go? Those are the type of questions you have to ask yourself when you're thinking about a human brand. And they're not tangible. And it's difficult because when you're dealing with a relationship, it's really about human discovery. It's getting down to what people want in life. When you look at back in the day, they had the hierarchy of needs, but now it's transitioning from having that, but also now it's about what do people want out of their lives. And that's what we're trying to drill down to and understand as a human brand is what do people want? Because a lot of times that's much different than what people need. And that is the journey that you have to go on or the expedition that you have to go on in getting to that place in the human mind and in the human life is getting down to what do customers want. And when you look at it that way, you're really talking about reverse engineering how your brand communicates. And that starts with figuring out not what the newest and latest product is, because that's what's going to drive your business, but what's the essence of our brand and company? What is it that no matter what the circumstance is, no matter what trends are going on, what is the new shiny object or new shiny thing to do this is about staying on course and being able to communicate what the essence of your brand stands for and what that's going to mean to your customer. And I call it the seat of emotion. That's at your very, very core. But a couple questions come up. How does your company create a spirit? And is creating a spirit a strategy? And yes, it is a strategy. And it's actually more than a strategy. It's actually more of a way of life for your business. It's about walking that walk that you talk about. It's about commitment. It's about standing by your word. It's about being loyal to what your customers want. And it's more than just what they want, because a lot of times in businesses, we have to create scenario. And I think Apple talks about it best when they say sometimes we're about designing things that people don't know that they need yet. And that's actually helping people progress in life, helping them have more convenience in their life. So the answer is absolutely yes. But what comes with that is you have to be able to define what those core values that you stand for, the essence and the spirit of what you stand for. And sometimes that means standing alone. But standing alone is not a bad thing. Standing alone sometimes means it's a very unique ideology and a unique way of communicating to a customer where you have the advantage in that communication. And at the end, it's about, human is to care, and your company has to absolutely care about its customer. And this is something that can't be done on the surface. This has to be something that is transparent and very authentic and very candid. And understanding that is tough for executives and business owners and startups to understand, because initially it's all about the product and then they build it backwards. And I've seen the best companies do it just the opposite. It reminds me of Apple a lot, because when you look at their commercials and you look in their stores and things like that, they're promoting their product as part of your life. So they're not just saying, hey, buy an iPhone because it's great and it does X, Y, Z. They're saying, hey, our phone is a part of your life. It's a part of your daughter's graduation. It's a part of a trip that you went on with your significant other. So then the customer thinks that now this device should be a part of those events in my life. And it truly comes about and it truly works in its most dynamic way is when everything is aligned. So when you go on that expedition and that human discovery, you are reaching deep into the core values and psyche of the customer, and you're aligning everything that you do within that. And there's two parts to it. And the first one is about the pull. The pull is strictly about getting in there and pulling everything that you can think of, whether it's emotions and how they feel and all these kind of intangible ideas, pulling those out and then saying, okay, now that I have this information, I went on an expedition and found out what my customer wants at its very core. Now I come back and show you how my product or service connects to that. And when you get that connection, that means now you are pushing a message that not only is tailored, but that is meaningful to the customer. And your stake with the customer is immersive. It's an immersive concept. And I put this picture here of Abercrombie and Fitch because it reminds me of the story I read about them on how they started. And they basically started with the founders living on a campus for an entire year. And what they did is they just had a big room. And what they did is they took pictures of students in every walk of life and event that they had, from how they go to class, what they wear, what they like to do, all of these things. So I think they had, if I remember right, about 10,000 pictures that captured the life of a college student. And now that is, to me, a very immersive relationship, because now there's no guesswork. You're not just broadcasting something out there and hoping that you're touching people in the right way. Now you go back with actual information and data on what they care about and how you can make their life better. And that's what I'm talking about, immersive. It's like learning a language. The only way to learn a language till its fullest is to be immersed in that particular language. Now comes the pull. We talk about the pull specifically because what happens with the pull is you're trying to build a line of connection from your brand to the customer. And that line is really indicative of touch points. Again, these are not tangible things. These are very intangible things. But some of them should sound like, hey, are you provoking me to act? Are you teaching me something? Give me something that changes my life. Help me make the most of myself. Keep me on top of my life. And ultimately, help me become what I can be. And those are powerful, emotional statements that a customer is looking for. It's your job to uncover it and dissect it and understand how you can tailor your message to that. But these are the things you're looking for, because once you get to this level, now you have a partner for life. You have a relationship that you've built based on need and based on want and based on where you want to take somebody. And that is what the pull is about when you're talking about a human brand, is pulling out these strong touch points that make people move and act. And then comes the push. This is the second part. Equally as tough, and this might be the toughest part of it, because when you're in a mode of being a broadcaster, it's hard to say, okay, instead of broadcasting, now I have to really figure out feelings. And that's not necessarily a strategy that you would take to your boss or you would do for your brand, because this requires not only caring, but it requires you to have a deep, deep, deep understanding of what makes your customer tick. And getting to this is a lot of work, but it's an investment that pays off tenfold in the future. Because when you connect emotionally, even with a person personally, there's a connection there that's hard to break. But if you just came to them on a very superficial level, it might last a week. And then by the time that's over, you're on to a different thing. So think about your brand and think about deep connection. And once you get to that, you'll find out that your connections are going to be strong and that you're actually going to be in a very loyalty-driven relationship. Hope you enjoyed this. This is the first part of a three-part module on branding, but I wanted to kind of set the stage on where you should be thinking and thinking of your brand as a human brand first, and then really understanding how that investment in that relationship is going to pay off and make you a better partnership in the future. And obviously, it's all designed to increase sales and increase revenue. And actually, when you build this type of relationship, it actually becomes contagious, because now you've set an emotional cycle going that now people will want to tell their friends about or their family about, and that also helps fortify the relationship as well.